Hello everybody, it's Stacy. I hope you're having a great Sunday, the end of the weekend. I'm starting a new playlist that I've been thinking about doing for a while, and it has to do with books. For me and for so many people, books are magic. They're magical. And whether it's reading them or writing them, and I have found so many answers to life's big questions and so many things that I was able to really discover about myself. I learned about in books in the self-help category, in the spirituality category, in the quote new age category, a lot of alternate topical books, not mainstream at all. And although they're becoming more mainstream anyway. And so over the course of the last decade plus, I have really built up a library of amazing books by some of the greatest teachers of our current time. And I wanted to share with you kind of a Cliff Notes video on what I've learned and recommendations for books that I have really gotten so much out of, or even if this is, like I said, just a Cliff Note kind of video for you to help you on your spiritual path, on your learning, on your things that you're seeking and answers that you're trying to get along your journey. And so I'm just going to share with you some of the things that I've learned from the books that I've read. So the first person that I want to start talking about is Gregg Braden, who really is amazing, and he has got dozens and dozens of books out on all different topics from like the science side of spirituality and the quantum field and our DNA and energy to ideas and concepts as mystical and broad as prayer. So he bridges the two, which really inspired me to bridge the two in my book series, the science and the spirituality, how they go together. I mean, they're really just two bookends of really the same structure of who we are as beings. And so that's why I really tried to convey that in my books and Gregg's books. I mean, I just have a few out right now out of my bookshelf. Fractal Time was so influential to writing my book series, and I will go into that one in a different video because it's so timely. The timeline between 2012 and now, and then also into the future to 2030, this timeline that we're on, this transformation of the planet, there's so much knowledge in this book. And so I will save that one for another video. Spontaneous Healing of Belief, Divine Matrix, The God Code. I mean, these are all books that I absorbed to use in my series. But the one that I want to talk about today is one that I just finished by him. And it is this one. It is The Secrets of the Lost Mode of Prayer. And so that's also the topic that I was wanting to talk with you today about, how we look at prayer. What does prayer even mean? Especially now in our world and culture where we seem so distant from the idea of God, and we seem so far away and separate from divinity and the faith. It's like, where is the faith in the unseen? So much of our world has gotten pushed into what we can prove and what we can see with our eyeballs, and the mystery and the magic and the awe and beauty of life is just discounted. And it has been one of my main passions and goals to help bring that back, because it is the lifeblood of who we are as humans. And we're getting back to that. We're getting back to getting back into that center and that magic of who we are. And so this book, this Secrets of Lost Mode of Prayer, he breaks it down into 4 steps, which I found so interesting. And they're also pieces that and things that I've taught in my work, as far as like the first piece is the pain, right? We all go through pain in our life. It's just it's you can't escape it. And so the process of turning the pains of our life into the wisdom that we can then draw from going forward is really the first step, right? So I've talked about that in previous videos, and just recently in a shadow work video, about how to really connect and transform that pain of life into the wisdom that you can then carry forward. So check that one out if you haven't already. So that's the first step, right? And so then the second step is blessing, which we hear, we know the word blessing from whatever religion you may be associated with, or maybe you're no longer, but the word blessing has its own connotations, and we all think of that as something that happens from someone in authority, right? You get a blessing from a priest, say. I was raised Catholic. But blessings are something that every human can bestow upon others and ourselves. We can bless our food. We can bless the water we drink. We can bless absolutely anything and anyone. And we have that power within us to bless. And so part of this Lost Mode of Prayer book, he talks about how blessing is so crucial, because it's important to bless those experiences that you feel were hard and painful. And so it has a whole magic to it, because once you bring in the divine to that process, there's a grace that comes, and it comes over and washes over the whole process, and it washes over you and the person who you have a grievance with, or the situation. So blessing is also such a key part. And so then the third part is beauty, which I love to talk about, trying to shift your perception of what you see and how you react to things that happen in your life, and see the collateral beauty. I don't know if you saw that movie. It is so worth watching, with Will Smith. It was a few years back, Collateral Beauty. But it was really a lesson in finding the beauty in the painful moments and the hard moments and all of moments, and really connecting and noticing the beauty in your life. So that's the third piece. And then the fourth piece that Gregg talks about is the prayer piece, the piece itself, the language of prayer. What does prayer mean to you? And it can mean, and I feel like it means something different to every single person. And do you have a prayer practice? Do you have a consistent practice, one, to connect to your soul, which I've talked about before, as far as a connection to the voice, the inner voice within you. But then it's also, it's paradoxical, because it's a connection to yourself within, and it's also a connection to God without, the greater power of God. And God is such a loaded word. We have so many hang-ups and so many things that weigh on the word God. And I'm going to save that one also for a separate video, because it's worth really talking about that in its own right. But getting back to prayer, this one sentence where he talks about the wisdom of emotion and feeling. And prayer is the emotion and the feeling that goes into the words that you say. So we all know, well, I think we do, going to church and saying the prayers, and it's very rote, and it's very, you can do it with your eyes closed and half asleep, as most people have done. And this time out that we've all been in COVID, and so many people not being able to go to their house of worship, has been a crisis for a lot of people. But it's also an opportunity to realize that you can connect to the divine, you can connect to God, you can connect to your greater power anywhere. It doesn't have to be in church. It doesn't have to be in your synagogue. It doesn't have to be somewhere outside of yourself or your house. It can be right where you're standing. And that's the whole point, is that prayer, and as Gregg puts it in this book, and he so beautifully says it, prayer is a way of life. It isn't just something that you do once in a while. It's a connection of your emotions and feelings with the words that you speak and the desires that you have for your life, for your family, for the earth, for the future. And you're connecting to God with using your words, but more so using your emotions and feeling. And that is what shifts, and that is what the world responds to. And he talks about our world, our life being the mind of God. And so what you're seeing in your life is a reflection of your connection to that energy and to that power and to the feelings within you. That's why it's so important to really be in touch with that, because so many of us are afraid of the pains within us. And so we dull a lot of our lives with, a glass of wine or shopping or distractions on our phones and scrolling. And we're such a distracted society that we don't really get in touch, right, with that feeling of we're trying to avoid the pain, so we don't get to enjoy the joy either. We don't get to really connect in the way that we're meant to while we're here on the planet. So I invite you to try it. Think of these 4 steps. The hardships in your life as a track toward gaining wisdom. Using the tool of blessing the experience, blessing the other people, blessing yourself. Try it simply with blessing your food, blessing water, knowing that you as a divine being are holy in your own right, and you have the power. And so take that back and use it to, because when you bless something, you raise its vibration. You can bless something that you're going to eat that might not, might be processed food or something that didn't come from an organic source or whatever. And so you have the ability to actually change the vibration of that food with your intent and your words, with a simple blessing. So try that as well. So we have, getting the wisdom, blessing, recognizing and having the awareness and taking a moment to recognize the beauty. That's the 3rd part. And then the 4th part is your prayer, your feeling, your emotion, your connection to God in the words that you speak, whether they be in the morning before you wake up, or how any other time throughout the day. And then notice if it becomes a way of life for you, where you're infusing that connection to God and to your internal self and to the beauty and the blessings and the wisdom, and all of it becomes this wonderful, rich, just tapestry of your life and the joys and the sorrows and everything in between, and hopefully the laughs. Hopefully there's some laughs in there, and that is all so unbelievably worth the work, right? Because spirituality, as I've talked about, is doing the work that it takes to transform. It's the work of transformation. And so I definitely recommend this little book. It's a quick read, Gregg Braden, if you want to really get the steps that I talked about. But it is, I will for sure, I mean, I was doing this already, but I will for sure really be more conscious and aware of the steps, and really taking the time to acknowledge and just have the awareness of all of this is available to you at any moment. You just have to be open to it and let it in, and then do that work as well. So let me know if this resonated, and if you try it out, let me know how it goes. I would love to hear from you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will be back with more books that I will be talking about, as well as talking about the I talked about our feelings and our hang-ups around the word God. So I really want to dive into that one as well, because I've done a lot around that, and I have some tips to share about that as well. So be well. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care. Bye-bye.